I'm telling you, I'm dazed, I'm confused. I don't understand the Andrew Tate phenomenon, why he's important, why some people feel compelled to defend him. I don't get it. Take me through a starter course. Andrew Tate one-on-one. How did we get here? Why are we here? What am I missing?
So, Jason, I'm not really an official Andrew Tate historian, but I can tell you what I've seen and observed over the last couple of years, right? I think Andrew Tate is an important figure because he's an influential figure, and anyone who works, particularly with young men, talks about how often his name and his ideas come up, right? So he appeals to young men in the same way that professional athletes have always appealed to young men, right? Let's say from his perspective, he's tall, he's good looking, he's a fighter, right? So he can use his hands and his feet. He drives fancy cars. He's always surrounded by pretty women. He has a big house. And he's a guy who says, look, I can teach you guys how to get money. I can teach you guys how to get women. I can teach you guys how to drive nice cars and to have all the trappings of a successful life. But you just have to follow my instructions and the things that I'm saying. So I'm not surprised that he's an influential figure, and particularly given some of the things, obviously, that we talk about how society, particularly in the West, attacks men, denigrates men, says that all of society's problems are blamed on men. You have a voice who says, no, there's nothing wrong with being male. In fact, being a man is a great thing, and I'm going to show you how to be the best man that you can be. And if you follow my lead, you can have all the things that I have. So I understand the phenomenon in terms of why he is influential. Now, the issue is Andrew Tate represents many of the values that conservatives and Christians and people who have some sort of moral or ethical compass say that we stand against, right? He's sex crazed. He describes himself as a pimp. He talked about how he used at the point he was speaking, used sex to control women who would then work for him doing cam work. So basically OnlyFans before that was even, necessarily the company was around. And he talked about how he suckered men out of a lot of money because, they get, oh, this woman, she's really into me. And she's like, no, she plays like she's into you so that you give her money. And in fact, when you give her money, you're giving me money. All right. So he's playing on that sort of male desire for female affirmation and affection. And in many respects, to me, like that whole part of his persona is just a Ponzi scheme, right? He's making money off the gullibility and the insecurity of other men. Now, there's the criminal charges and all that. I don't even get into that because I don't have to read through court documents to get a sense of what Andrew Tate stands for because he talks about it incessantly. He's ubiquitous online, on podcasts of every different stripe, and he's constantly talking about his worldview and philosophy. And I think, and so I'm gonna put a pin in that. There's the other part of it where he speaks against traditional values. He's anti-marriage. When he talks about family, he's like, look, go to Colombia, go to Thailand, go to some third world country, right? Second or third world country, find you a nice looking woman, impregnate her, right? Send a few shekels every once in a while, keep her and the baby alive, come back to America, and you have your seed, right? Walking around, it's a little Tate baby, but you don't have to be bogged down with all the, the difficulty of raising a child, particularly raising the responsibility. So he's talked about that. Now, I've seen reports that he has 8 kids, 10 kids. I'm not sure. It's not something that he really talks about in specificity, but nothing that he stands for is pro-marriage, pro-family, pro-traditional values. He's talked about his upbringing because apparently his father was a chess master, right? Internationally regarded chess master. But he's talked about the difficulty in terms of when his parents split. Now, his dad is an American. His mom is British. I believe he spent the early part of his years in America and then the latter part, in Great Britain. And when I hear him speak, I'll use your phrase first and I'll use mine. there's certain things about Andrew Tate that sound like he's a mixed nut, right? He has certain identity issues. When he gets online and he's talking about how much he hates the N words with the hard R, I'm saying, oh, okay, I see the play. And I actually think this is one of the reasons that he's more palatable to conservatives. If Andrew Tate looked like Idris Elba, I'm not sure that the response to him from the same people would be exactly the same. That's just my speculation.
Bitcoin isn't going anywhere, so why not start stacking some today? The Fold app gives you Bitcoin rewards when you buy gift cards. At Amazon, Uber, DoorDash, and Home Depot, over 50 national merchants. Go to foldapp.com/Whitlock right now or scan the QR code on your screen. New users get a Bitcoin bonus with their first gift card purchase. Start earning Bitcoin rewards today. Fold app.
So I think he has the makings of someone who is the worst type of person to follow. He's a tragic mulatto with serious daddy and mommy issues who promotes degeneracy of the highest order. Is a scammer, right? And a person who I don't think should be followed or valorized. And I think the reason, and this is where I think he's actually important in terms of the broader conversations, it's not that Andrew Tate's views are not out there. They are. I think the issue is when people, particularly on the political right, embrace him as a symbol. Andrew Tate is being attacked by the globalists because he's one of the few men willing to stand up for what's true and what's right. That's where the problem lies. It's with a political ideology that can't pick a horse to save its life, who says, we are for anybody that the left is against. So if the leftists and the globalists and the Marxists are against you, we're for you. And he is again, his dad's a chess player. He is a smooth enough chess player to spot this Achilles heel and to spot this vulnerability and say, oh, this is an easy play. I'm going to talk against, the blacks and the Jews and the globalists. And people on the right are going to love me and eat it up, and the feminists, and they're going to eat it up because they'll say, I'm based, right? I'm giving them base takes. Add to that, when he starts comparing himself to Donald Trump. Now, Trump's attorney, one of his counselors, I think is Alina Habba. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. But when they were on a podcast together, I'm not going to use the word that I thought of, but she was giddy. I'll say giddy when she was speaking to, hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. I mean, the screen was shining because everybody's teeth was so white. And I'm saying to myself, oh, I see the play. And she compared him to President Trump by saying, you both have come under attack from, globalists, nefarious entities who want to take you down and silence you. And I think his acceptance on sort of one part of the pro-MAGA coalition does not bode well for the larger conservative movement or for sort of the moral and ethical trajectory of our country. And that's why I think he's a person. I'm not saying I would not make him a martyr, right? I'm not saying arrest him because he has bad views. I'm saying point out where his ideology does not even line up with itself. Because if young men think they've been sold a bad deal by feminists, they need to understand that Andrew Tate is really no different than Gloria Steinem. And I said this on Twitter last night, right? He's selling a particular message. Gloria Steinem in the 1960s was telling women, working for your husband is a bad deal. Marriage is a bad deal, right? Go out in the corporation. Go make your own money. Stand on your own 2 feet, right? You don't need a man to fulfill your life. And Andrew Tate is right there on the other side. This is the horseshoe theory in effect, right? On the far right, quote unquote, telling young men, marriage and family is a bad deal. Traditional values are a bad deal. Make your money, build your own empire, right? You don't need a woman to fulfill your life. And I think I would attack him in terms of his ideas. And I can do that without even getting into his, various legal and challenges and criminal court cases.
He's has executed this, hey, I'm a victim card And conservatives have fallen for it. Yes, he's a victim of the globalists and the feminists and, the DEI crowd or whatever. And he's played that game. And that's, I see it as like, if he weren't in these legal problems, I don't think he would be leaning as hard into the conservative alleged values or playing this whole victim. But it was like, hey, how can I get someone to defend these horrible things that I've been accused of? Well, I'll pretend like I'm a Trump supporter, and and because I get to pretend that I'm half black, and he is half black. It's like, hey, I'm a half black Trump supporter, and people are rallied around. We need black supporters, and we need black men, and so let's not kill Andrew Tate because that will hurt us with black men. And again, this is where I like politics gets in the way of truth and righteousness. And that's the real danger that I see here, because I agree with you. The defense of Andrew Tate is like, I saw Dave Portnoy posted on Twitter that like, hey, I thought we were against bringing in criminal imports. Hey, we're closing up the border. Why are we opening our arms to a guy that's facing serious criminal allegations in 2 different countries? It involves at least one American woman. It seems like we would say, nah, let's press pause, stay over there till you get your legal stuff figured out. But we're so caught up in politics, we've thrown out our values once again. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss a moment of Fearless.